Welcome, councillors and staff, to the December meeting, and welcome to the gallery. We meet here in the spirit of respect, cooperation and collaboration. Collectively, we pay tribute to those who have come before us. First Nation people, as we seek to grow an understanding their connection and knowledge of their heritage and culture, with respect and unity. We acknowledge the Ngadjuri, Paramank and Kaurna traditional custodians of these lands within the Barossa. I also acknowledge European settlers whose customs and traditions have been passed down through 6 generations. May our discussions tonight make a meaningful contribution to our Barossa way of life. We are ready to walk, learn and work together. That is also my prayer. No apologies, no leave of absence. Move to item 2.1, minutes of the previous meetings for confirmation. 2.1.1 is the council meeting held on the Tuesday, the 21st of November 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Special council meeting held on Wednesday the 29th of November 2:30 at 5:15 p.m. and special council meeting held on Wednesday the 6th of December 2023 at 5:15. Would someone move those minutes be accepted? Councillor Hearn and Councillor Barrett. All those in favour? Carried. 2.2 is matters arising from the previous minutes, and that was the Growing Regions Program, grant application expression of interest and the successful information. That information's been provided following those minutes, so they are noted. (3.1.1) is the petition for the Palmer Wind Farm. Any questions? There is a recommendation. Move, Councillor Priest.
Second.
Seconded, Councillor De Vries. You wish to speak to it?
Just briefly, I mean, it's great that we're supporting the people there about the Palmer Wind Farm. It's so ugly. They're not needed, and it's time that the government started waking up there.
Councillor De Vries.
I seconded that we were receiving a note in the petition.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Okay, thank you. All those in favour? Carried. There's no deputations. Notice of motion, 3.3.1. Councillor Priest, the discontinuance of the acknowledgement of country on page 14. Any questions? Councillor Priest, you wish to put that motion?
I do. I'll move it.
So the motion is put forward by Councillor Priest that Council instruct the Mayor to cease the First Nation acknowledgement of country at the commencement of Council meetings, Council outdoor and Council indoor events. Is there a seconder? There is no seconder, so the motion is lapsed. We'll move on to the next item. Thank you, Council, for your support. Mayor's report, page 17. Any questions? If not, will someone like to move the motion? Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Carried. 5.1, Councillors' report to Council. Councillor Jane Evans on page 19. And thank you for attending.
Thank
Someone like to?
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Any questions? Someone like to move the Councillor Greatwich and seconded Councillor Lane. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Priest, you didn't vote? I called for a vote and you didn't vote. Okay, I'll call the vote again for the Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Carried. Item 6.1, the legacy, matters for information. Is there any questions? If not, those items are there for information. We'll move on to the debate reports. 7.1.1, request for assistance, the Barossa Wildlife Rescue on page 118. CEO.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just through you and with consultation with Councillor Barrett, in the report it talks about making also a representation on behalf of the group, and Councillor Barrett's asked for that to be added, which is, so there's a slight, well not a slight, we've inserted the words to represent the Mayor writes to the relevant ministers related to the two main issues of funding and legislative change.
Thank you. Any questions?
Hi.
Councillor Greatwich.
My question was just around that in reading the report, there seemed to be a misunderstanding, I think, perhaps on my part, because I understood from the presentation that was given that that if it were not for Barossa Wildlife Services, that the responsibility for the call-outs for the hit kangaroos and that sort of thing would fall to council. But the report quite clearly, and I really noted that very clear statement around it actually being state jurisdiction. And so I just wanted to sort of clarify that, because I really took what Barossa Wildlife Services, you know, they're sort of the experts in the area. And so I just wondered whether anyone could shed any light on how that disparity or misunderstanding might have come to light.
I'll let the CEO answer that.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we'll attend any spots that actually require safety on the road, but it's not our responsibility.
And predominantly what's always happened in the past, if there's an animal that has passed away on the side of the road, that's where we get involved at that point in time. Councillor De Vries.
In speaking to these people, it is the state's responsibility, but they're basically not doing anything about it. Yeah. So they basically, it's sort of like they have the authority, but they don't really take a responsible approach, I guess. So if it was just left to things just happening, then there would be lots of dead kangaroos with joeys in the pouch, which may or may not be attended to. Apparently, it is if you hit a kangaroo, it's your responsibility to kill the animal. So if you're a mum driving home from school and you clip a kangaroo, then while the kids are in the back seat, I guess you've got to go out and, I don't know, if you don't have a gun handy, I don't know what you'd do. I could get morbid at this point. And apparently the police are often called out to do it. They don't like doing it at all because they're human beings as well. And they find the whole thing very distressing, and often they are not particularly skilled at it. It's not an easy thing to do. So it ends up with unnecessary suffering for the animals and, I guess, psychological scarring for people as well. So I think these people are doing a fantastic community service. It's a shame that the state government doesn't have a more proactive approach. And while it's not our responsibility,
Councillor, I just might keep it to the asking the question.
Yeah, no,
I think you've given enough info
Okay,
there.
yes.
Yeah. Councillor Greatwich, you had a further
Thank you,
comment?
Councillor Priest. Yes, if we could, is it possible to see what the proposed amendment, it was just there for a moment, because I think that this is actually a really critical point, is that it may not necessarily be strict jurisdictional matters, but the fact of the matter is that the work that this group does contributes to the amenity of our community. And so if we are in fact writing to relevant ministers in an advocacy sense, is it possible to just include a note around that, or some advocacy around the fact that we are providing this funding in the absence of state funding to adequately fulfil these services?
Certainly.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. And I think that would mean a lot to them as an organisation as well.
Any other questions?
I'd like to move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Move Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Greatwich. Councillor De Vries.
I have a suspicion I've already sort of opened the agenda. Sorry about that. I got a little carried away at the end. No, look, I think these people do an important service that it's a shame that the state government doesn't actually carry out. And we've had a lot of kangaroos actually on the side of the road in recent times. I think that they should be supported. I wish we could do more, and if we can do more, I'd like to. I think this is the bare minimum we can do under the circumstances. Yes, it's not our responsibility, but we are sort of leaders in this area, and I think we should adopt that leadership role.
Councillor Greatwich.
No, not further, no. Thank you.
Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried. Page 168, 7.1.2 is the Audit and Risk Committee membership, the resignation of a member and a call for an appointment of the replacement of a council member on the Audit and Risk Committee. Any volunteers?
Do you need the volunteers first, or do you want me to move the volunteers?
I need a name.
I'm happy to volunteer unless there is someone burning to be that person. I know Councillor Thompson is already on there. I was on it last term of council. I'm happy to go back on it, but if there's a budding auditor somewhere...
Reveal yourself now.
I'm already on one.
I think you'd be marvellous.
If someone wants to move, Councillor Angus, if there's... Okay, oh, look at him. I think Councillor Greatwich just beat the two of you. Move Councillor Greatwich, seconded. Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Carried. Page 170 is 7.1.3, the Toowoomba Village ownership transfer. Any questions?
I have a conflict of interest, Mayor, as I'm on the board of Barossa Village.
Thank you.
I will leave the chamber.
Any questions? Councillor De Vries.
No, I was going to move it, but if there are questions first.
There appears to be no. Councillor Priest? I'll be seconded. Okay. So move Councillor De Vries.
I think everybody's on top of this one, aren't they? It's
And seconded Councillor Priest.
No further comment.
Yep.
We've all known
Okay. All those in favour? Carried.
Yeah.
7.2.1, amendment of fees and charges registered 2023-2024 on page 200. Any questions? Happy to move, Your Honour. Move Councillor Barrett. Seconded Councillor Greatwich. Either one wish to speak to it?
No, thank you. It's all self-evident. I've made plenty of inquiries.
Councillor Greatwich. Motion, all those in favour? Carried.
I'm up against the magistrate at the moment, Your Honour.
7.2.2, applications for the discretional rate rebate on page 202. Any questions, Councillor Grady?
I'm just seeking a bit of clarification in this one because I did see the additional information that came through via email, and if I'm really honest, it didn't clarify matters in my mind. And so I'm just concerned that it appeared from the follow-up correspondence that was received, it was kind of seemed very clear from community helpers' perspective that there had been a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, but then that isn't necessarily reflected in what's in the report. So I'm just unclear in my mind.
CEO?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Let's go back a little ways. The land use code on which that property is based is not consistent with potentially the actual use. So what has fundamentally been happening is supporting to make those amendments at the Valuer General. Now, one property has been approved and the other one is waiting for approval. What we need to understand is the land use code does not translate into a potential rating outcome. In fact, the reality is the movement of the land use code that is underway and turns into a, bang, the word's just gone out of my head. Peter, what's the right word? Sorry? Aaron. No, Aaron won't know that one. A donation type, a charitable organisation, thank you, that's the right word, translates into a rating code actually at a higher rate. So that's point one. Point two is the way that the Act works is very different to how the Emergency Services Act works, and it falls into a particular rating but does not fall into a mandatory rebate. Okay, so a discretionary rebate has been applied at 50%, consistent with many other around the area. In terms of what the group are asking for because of the public good they provide is, will you provide the additional 50%? The officers have no option but to provide the recommendation that is in front of you in terms of the assessment against policy, etc. It's completely up to council if it wants to provide that additional rebate. I can tell you out of questions today that additional rebate for this year is approximately $4,162.
This is a preemptive. So, and Martin, what has been the case in the past in regards to providing rebates for this group?
I've only gone back through you, Mr Mayor. I've only gone back a couple of years. It's 50%. I've only quickly done it the last hour.
Yeah, so that's
So I haven't
the
gone
same.
back any
That's
further
the
than
same
that,
as what they've already received so far.
as my current understanding,
Yes.
but it does not preclude the opportunity
additional,
as a
yeah.
discretionary.
Sure.
Councillor Shelley?
Yes, I wanted to put up a alternative motion that instead of declining the 100% discretionary rate rebate, that we approve a 75% rebate.
No, that's right, there is no motion, so if you want to add 75, we
Yes.
can. Yes.
And I'd like to put that up for debate.
Okay, right, you'll move that motion?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, could I just clarify? Can we just slightly amend the words, Councillor Schilling? Sure. Approves an application for a rebate up to 75 or to 75%. Otherwise, it potentially is at 125%. No, to application to a 75% discretionary rebate. Is that okay? Thank you.
That's the motion.
I'll second it.
Councillor Priest, you second it?
Yep.
Okay. Councillor Shilling?
Yes, I've been in conversation with this community helpers group on this matter, and it hasn't been an easy one because of the history, and there's been quite a lot going on in this space, but they are a great community asset with what they provide at their 2 sites. Yes, they do generate an profit, but their profits go back into the community. Whilst I understand we have a lot of other businesses that also put their profits back into the community, this is a voluntary run. They only have managers that are the only paid people, and the rest of this business is volunteer managed or run. So on that basis, I would ask the Chamber to support the 75% rate. Thank you.
Councillor Priest, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I echo what the Deputy Mayor has just said. They are a not-for-profit organisation. All their profits do go back into the community. They're a great organisation. I fully support this motion. But I do note that we did knock back the Nooryup Bowling Club when they asked for a council rebate or I think something like that, wasn't there, Martin, a council rebate or cancellation several months ago. We knocked that back, but this is still a worthy cause, so yeah, I'm fully support it.
I'm a little bit torn with this one because I absolutely endorse what you say. I have been the recipient of their largesse in my life, and they are an incredible organisation. And so the comments that I'm making here are entirely distinct from the organisation itself. But my concern in these sorts of scenarios always relates to precedents and to equity and fairness. And that is my concern is that, yes, they are a voluntary run organisation with very few paid staff members. I imagine that there are other organisations in a similar set of circumstances. And I just want to note my concern around the fair and equitable application of these sorts of provisions rather than an ad hoc kind of approach, which I think sort of erodes a little bit of certainty. And so mine is a procedural comment, and you know, at the same time, fully endorsing the work that they do. So.
Yeah, this is interesting. I was originally intending to stick with the 50% for precedent more than anything else, but I am mindful of the fact that this group has actually found their rates have gone up because of this process that they've gone through. And what we would be effectively doing is foregoing some of the addition. So it's not like we're necessarily going to be significantly out of pocket by this, and it's not much. This is one of those go with your heart, not your head situations. I can't really justify this logically, but it does feel like, and I think I may feel differently in 12 months' time, but I think given the fact that they have seen this spike, and we do have a principle of trying to avoid people getting hit unnaturally hard from one year to the next, which it does feel like they're getting. I'm, in this instance, if you pardon the expression, willing to be charitable. And so I think I will be supporting this motion.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Were you sure I was before Councillor Barrett?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Barrett, just long yours on if you want to speak. No, Councillor Evans, go for next. Yeah, but you can long yours. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Through the chair. Thank you, Mayor. I just echo the sentiments of all the comments that have been made by the councillors in the room, and particularly Councillor Greatwich recently. Just consider with just noting that consideration will be given to council's capacity to deliver fair and equitable discretionary rate rebates moving forwards in the future, depending on the subjective applicants' terms. And I just would appreciate that note of just with the precedent and the floodgates issue that could potentially occur moving forward. So we have a lot of community groups that have hardship. So, and that's all I. But please take that in the context of. I think yeah, they're absolutely brilliant, and we need community helpers like this in our region, and I want to support them. But just as long as council has the capacity to do this for the next and the next, they ask and request over a time period. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I thank Councillor Schilling for drawing our attention to this particular matter. It's very much appreciated. Whilst I'm very mindful of precedent, it is Christmas time. It's the season for giving, and I will be supporting the motion of Councillor Schilling. Thank you.
You wish to close the debate?
I have no further comment. Thank you, Mayor.
The recommendation is there, moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried. Seven point 2.3 on page 206 is the 2024-2025 annual business plan and long-term financial plan timetable and assumptions. On 226, any questions? Maps it out fairly clearly. A series of workshops. Please attend.
You don't want a budget or?
What day's the tour down under? 16. Okay, we're good.
Okay, there's a recommendation there.
I'll just do the budget because I'll
Move the recommendation.
Move Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Troop. Other one wish to speak? Put the motion, all those in favour? Carried. 7.2.4 is the monthly financial report as of 30th of November 2023 on page 212. Any questions? Councillor Angus, so moved. And seconded by Councillor Lane. Either one wish to speak? No further comments. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. We'll move to 7.4.1 is the protection and management of the historic area and character area statements on page 215. This is seeks in principle support. Moved Councillor Greatwich.
I was simply going to move it as well.
Okay. I'll take the red light and seconded Deputy Mayor. Good point. Thank you. Councillor Greatwich, you wish to speak?
Just briefly to add some comment to say that I really strongly endorse this piece of work that's been done, and also to note that the invitation was provided to local government all around the state to take a proactive approach to this. And the Barossa Council has really done that and really picked it up and moved it forward. And I think that deserves to be recognised as a fantastic initiative, and to simply endorse it to the Chamber. Thank you.
Councillor Schilling, you wish to speak? Any further comment? Councillor Barrett.
Just a quick comment. I'd like to thank Paul Micken for the work he's done in relation to this, and Aaron Curtis. There's a tremendous amount of work gone into it, and it's very informative, and I'd like to thank them. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. The future. Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Similarly, there's another important document, 7.4.2, the Strategic Planning Review of the Barossa Character Area and Update Report on page 248.
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Greatwich. Either one wish to speak?
Only to say that I was incredibly impressed with this report. Actually commented as much to Councillor Angus earlier today. I think it captures the spirit of what we are trying to do probably better than some of the items in a later agenda item. I think Paul's served us very well with this, and I applaud him.
I'd like to echo those sentiments, but also just to note that there is some information in here around that forward engagement process, and just to really encourage consideration in that process to support the integrity of that engagement process by making it an accessible process and really smoothing the pathway for people who would like to provide their own nuanced understanding and input into it moving forwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further comments? All those in favour? Carried. (7.4.3) is the wind farm report on 271. I think I preempted this one. We had the petition, so now we've got to it. Any questions? There is a recommendation that Council endorses the Chief Executive Officer to prepare a submission
So moved.
on the Twin Creek and the Palmer.
So moved.
Councillor Priest, moved.
Yep.
And seconded Councillor Angus. Wish to speak?
I think enough's been said on this matter. I think we all know.
Oh, no, sorry, I was going to second it, but that's...
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I think enough's been said on this matter. I think we all know what the gist of it is, that wind farms are damaging to the environment. They kill a lot of birds, create a lot of noise, and they're just completely ugly. And they're fully subsidised by us taxpayers.
Councillor Angus.
As the seconder, thank you, Mayor. I don't think I'll go quite as far as Councillor Priest. I think we're looking at the effect that these may have on our region. The items that Councillor Priest has raised are subject to debate, I agree. And that's not what we're here for. My concern is that we express legitimate and proper concerns for the people of this district. We can't stop them and from what's happening across the border. But I think we can say, look, this is a big, wide open country, and there may be more appropriate places to locate these things. So I assume that's the vein in which this report will be written.
Councillor Greatwich.
Thank you. Do I still need to ask a question, or can I?
You can still ask a question, yes.
Okay. Or perhaps maybe not a question, but just a matter of clarification, because actually I think that the recommendation is really clear that the council write and request that they have regard to the objectives of the Barossa Valley Character Preservation District as part of the assessment. So I think it's really important to be crystal clear that this isn't actually an advocacy piece against or for the wind farm development, but it is simply to request that due consideration be given to the character preservation framework. And I feel really compelled to note that there is not universal opposition to wind farms in this chamber. And I think that we should be careful not to take as read that there is some sort of universal opposition to them. That is absolutely not the case at all.
And that's consistent with the representation that the phone calls I've been getting. It's about protecting the character preservation and not the wind farms in any way, shape or form. They are what they are, and they're going to be here for a long time. Councillor De Vries.
This is more of a question, I guess. either they do it or they don't. How can they take due, what are we requiring them to do, due regard? How exactly, what does that mean? I mean, in practical terms, does it mean that they don't do it, or what's the compromise position if there is to be one? This feels like it's pretty binary, really. You either go up or you don't.
Well, my take on it is the fact is they've already got an approval for a certain height. So they've got an approval. I think that's where I think the people that have spoken to me, they know they've got that approval. It's the additional height. But I'll let the CEO add more scientific and more factual information than I've just given you.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'll start, but Mr McVicar may go on. I think you need to pull back exactly what Councillor Greatwich is saying. There are 5 principles that sit within the Character Preservation Act. They talk about visual amenity, they talk about the impact from a planning perspective on the character area. That could be height, that could be a nuclear power station and therefore discharge. That could be anything. Obviously it's not going to be a nuclear power station, we don't have any, but you get the drift. It could be a EPA licensed facility. If it's within the power of an administrative authority, in this case SCAP, to actually make an assessment of a planning decision, in this case towers that are 200 and something metres high, they have to have regard, and what we're doing is reminding them of their statutory duty. We will draw out on that the 5 points of just to make sure they are assessing. I think there's a quite simple medium of what everybody's talking about here. They are adequately assessing those 5 conditions, as they did actually with the original submission. It is another grey area of planning, but that is the only tool we actually have that we can use, because other than that, we've got no jurisdiction over this activity. And we will draw parallels as to reasonable planning principles on which to assess. Jake will.
Any further comment, question? You wish to close the debate, Councillor Priest?
Yeah, just to say that I support the people who've worked hard to put this up, and the people of Mount Pleasant who are fighting against this ugly wind farm, and I support the tens and tens of thousands of people who demonstrate around Australia about the environmentally damaging wind farms. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favour? Carried. Council, we'll now move to 8.1.1, which is the Development of Community Services report, which is the Barossa Growth and Infrastructure Investment Strategy draft report for consultation, and that is a confidential item. So I need someone to move.
So moved.
Moved Councillor Priest and seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour, we go into confidence. Carried. Sec. With that, Councillor, that concludes our agenda. May I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. I have arranged for some little Christmas drinks, if you're able to stay and just chink the glass together, that's fine. But But all the best. Thank you.
Yeah, I can give you a quick update on that. And if you